All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started. I don't see Commissioner Cruz on yet, so maybe she's on and I didn't see her, but we have everyone else. Can everyone hear me?
Commissioner Cruz said she may be a few minutes late.
Yep, I'm
Okay.
on.
Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll start out with 3-0 Andrew. Andrew, you wanted to address something in the announcements?
I did. We'd like to get the commission opinion on whether they would like to see the announcements in writing on the agenda, or if they would like to see us do it how we used to do it, where we had the employees come up during public audience and speak to it. Just seeing if you think it's worth having it printed on the agenda, or whether it would suffice, because we could save 3 publishing things, or then we have flyers. I don't know if you guys have any opinions on that, or if you like to just keep it as is.
I think it's fine to have them come up during public comment.
Okay.
I do too.
My only concern with that is that if we have any questions or anything, then we're kind of opening public comment up to what we've kind of not had it been. I mean, I know that it's staff members that are up, but I feel like we can make them quick and short, maybe. But and
I could do,
maybe if they don't need to be presented, but just be on the agenda or something. But I don't want to get in the habit of having them on public comment, and then if we have questions, then public comment turns into a whole Q&A with staff, and as opposed to what it should be.
So what I could do is, under the announcements, instead of doing A, B, and C, just do an announcement of city events, upcoming events, and then we could just call up any of the city staff could come up at 3A under announcements for upcoming events and programming, instead of under public audience. You think that would work?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can just
that's fine with
simplify.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and make that
Simplify the
change and republish it. I'll make that change today, and then we'll do it that way going forward.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Andrew,
you.
I need to talk to you before you republish as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, go ahead and scroll on down to public audience. We'll get started with consent. But before we get started with consent, guys, I know I had I was invited down to the county in reference to the whole annexation. I know some of the articles that you guys have read. I had staff, and I don't know if Stacy, did you have a chance to reach out to any of the commission yet?
We have not spoken with them yet.
Okay.
We
I've
intend
spoken.
to do it after agenda review, not today, but
Okay. All right. So we'll just we'll hold off on speaking in regards to it, and I'll just let legal reach out to each of you one-on-one.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll proceed.
I was at the county, and I think it'd be beneficial for everyone to hear what the proposal was from the county.
Okay. All right. Well, essentially what it was is they're looking for an alternative. So if there's any way to avoid the city annexing any of the Cobra communities, they sent us a letter of objection we received yesterday, essentially objecting to us even annexing Bamboo Lane or annexing Palmyra. The objection was essentially the technical language and their view of what the power of attorney is intended for. And we have prepared a response, but I can tell you that I think there was information gleaned that the county is interested in possibly purchasing our wastewater treatment center plant and or purchasing all of our water utility and our wastewater collection services as a city as a whole. In the event that they do, obviously the water service agreements that we have would be rendered moot because then they would be the water service provider. In the event the commission decides not to go down that direction, we decide to actually go towards the annexation route and proceed as planned. Then there'll be some legal battles, but again, I'll let legal go into those specifics with you guys one-on-one. And because by no means am I an attorney, so I want the subject matter experts to actually be able to articulate themselves to you guys and what our arguments would be. But we did receive the letter of objection from the county. I want to say yesterday or 2 days ago, and we've had time to unpack it and prepare a response.
Have we made that response?
We are not going to make the response, but we need to go forth with the annexations of both Palmyra and also Bamboo Lane.
Okay.
Just to clarify,
So,
Dan, we still are not done with the response, so it's not something we could share at this time. Because
Okay.
Stacy and I have been working on it furiously for the last 2 days, and it's a lot to digest. So it will be shared with the commission, however, when it is done.
Okay.
I think the other thing too that I want to share with my colleagues was that the mayor of the county was making an attempt to suggest for our body to postpone with annexation while the county, does an analysis, feasibility study, whatever due diligence they feel called upon to look at a potential transfer of our utilities treatment. I personally don't want to be beheld to the county in something like this, and just in measure of good faith. We've seen how we've been taken advantage of with the mobility fees in the past, and I understand their perspective. They're looking out for their best interests, but representing the city of Boynton Beach, I don't see a need for us to pause or slow down in the middle between two hearings regarding annexation of Palmyra and Bamboo Lane. And I just want to remind my colleagues that, our residents that elected us in office have been subsidizing this water utility treatment plant for the residents in unincorporated. And while they may pay a little bit more than what the residents in the city do, they're not on the ticket or on the hook for the costs for personnel. They're not on the ticket for infrastructure improvements, any bonds that may be needed in the future. So I think, this is a serious issue we really need to look at with the county. However, I don't want to be, voluntold by the mayor of the county to stop annexation when we're halfway through. Because I just don't trust that if we stop midway through, that the county is then going to do their due diligence and take us seriously. I think they're going to look at that as weakness, and they're going to look at that as, oh, hey, we got them to do whatever. And at the end of the day, they're not the ones that are elected by our residents for the city commission district seats. And so, I just want to go ahead and make it clear that I have no taste in stopping or postponing annexation because someone from the county is asking to do so. I know there's different perspectives as far as potential and future annexation further out west, but with these two pockets, one being a neighborhood split, I don't see why we would stop this out of a good faith handshake agreement with the county. Doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I can appreciate what you're saying, Commissioner Turkin. Just one question for staff. How many other council members were there at that meeting?
There
Other
was
than-
only one of us. It was only Commissioner Turkin, sir.
And
And you can watch it online, Woodrow. It's right in the beginning of the meeting,
that's not my
It-
question.
literally like 10 minutes in.
And
That's not my
Commissioner, hey,
question.
I didn't speak, I didn't give any commentary, I was there observing. So I don't want to make the perception that I was speaking on the behalf of anybody here. I just want to make that clear.
I can understand that, but my question is that I didn't know anything about it. Was there any particular reason why uh, the rest of us weren't told?
Sir,
Because I could have made the meeting, is what I'm getting to, had I known about it.
I don't mean this in a disrespectful manner. I briefed you on that meeting when I went to Carolyn Sims that night, and I told the entire room I was going to go in there at 9:30 to give a presentation on annexation.
I understand that, but I got the impression that you were going and not other. It's not. It's. I don't want to waste too much more time on this, but all I'm saying is I didn't get the impression that I was invited if I wanted to go. Okay, Dan. So we
Oh,
can
yeah.
move on. We can move on to the next agenda item.
If there's no other question, is there any other questions for any of the other electeds? We'll move on.
No, we can move on. That's fine. I'll talk to Shauna offline.
All right. Can you scroll down, Andrew?
You see it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got you. So we're at 5A. These are 3 waivers that some of our advisory board members are looking for. They're fairly self-explanatory. It's obviously going to require a majority vote on each. I'm not sure what the overall appetite is uh, to approve any sort of language for waivers, but obviously with the passage of the new rules and regulations, the board doesn't have that authority. So
Yeah, and this kind of I mean, I look at them and I see most of them are asking for waivers that live outside of the city, and that was kind of my desire to not have that as a waiver option, because now we're running into that's like now we have 3 people who are strictly just looking for waivers because they live outside of the city and they want to serve on a board. And I noticed, thank goodness, our public affairs department is finally listening and posted that we have vacancies. I feel like we'll start getting more applications for these boards. So, I mean, I just want to remind the board that that was kind of I was kind of strong on not wanting people outside of the city so that we could give our city residents the opportunity. And now we have 3 people looking for waivers strictly because they live outside of the city. So,
If I may,
I agree. I am not in support of that.
Agreed. I'm
Okay.
with Commissioner Kelly and the mayor.
and I'm also with the commission and mayor. But my only question is, why don't we make that? Can we make that, Shauna, a rule rather than face a waiver? Or if they know up front that that's not going to be allowed, we wouldn't have to go through this, right? Am I right?
Well, Commissioner, actually, it is a rule in our ordinances. However, we do allow a waiver because we were having trouble on some of these boards. You know, I think this is a new process. I think if we just set the tone, you know, one of the waivers is for a 4th term on the Historic Preservation Board. One of the waivers, interestingly, um, 2 of them actually are just related to um, seeking an additional term. And then, yes, there are some that are outside of the city, but the one is for like the Education and Youth Advisory Board where we have trouble getting a quorum. So, you know, that was the purpose of the waivers. So I would encourage the commission not just to say no, just to give it a little time to play out, see how it plays out. But if the direction for the commission is to take that out of the waiver process, that is certainly something we can do.
Okay.
And excuse me,
The, the, excuse me.
go ahead.
Okay. Uh, Shauna, does that apply for what's our position when people have a business inside the city limits, but they live on the outside of the city limit? Did we discuss that?
Yes, we did. And those
What
are
our
all things,
position?
those are all things the commission should take into consideration where you may consider someone who, that was part of it because a lot of the boards did not have that provision if they've had a business in the city for 30 years, but they don't physically live in the city. They couldn't serve. So that was part of the reason for allowing for the waivers.
Okay.
Well, but Shauna, my understanding is in our ordinance, the requirements to be on the board is either you have to be a resident, own a business, or own property in the city. So
It,
the
it's a
waiver
good,
shouldn't
right.
really apply if they meet one of those criteria. But if they don't meet that criteria, then that's why they're asking for a waiver. So
They were
I don't,
different standards for different boards, Commissioner Kelly. So I think we tried to uniform it, make it more uniform so it wasn't as disjointed.
okay. So when we,
And there,
so
um, there's one person that is receiving requesting a waiver that I spoke to her directly because her company, she says that she has a business in the city. So I called her directly to ask like where the business is at to see if it's actually within the city. And she's like, "Oh, well, I work online, but I have customers within the city." So there are resident or people who are putting yes as that they work within the city, but it's not.
Shauna, real,
Yeah, it needs to be an established business.
it needs to
can't
be
just
brick
come
and
online.
mortar. Yeah,
Correct.
not an LLC that has a BTR online. In my
And-
opinion, at least. I think if it's
Okay,
a
so
brick and
what
mortar.
we can do, Bailey, is let's change the form
Okay,
so that it says,
brick and mortar.
business name and location within the city, and we can fix that.
Yeah, and one of the people who are requesting the the waiver is an alternate right now on the board, but would like to be a regular member because there's 2 vacancies on the Education and Youth Board, and he's an alternate. However, he does live outside of the city. So, but in order to be an alternate and move up to a regular, you have to reapply for that position. So he's reapplying to be a regular position, but he is a current alternate position, even though he lives outside of the city right now.
Wow.
Andrew, real quick, under that item, so we're talking about a lot of information. We're talking about a lot of extra information as far as like owning a business, maybe owning a business, was current. When is all of that information built in to this item where when we click on it or we go in and we're doing this weekend, when I'm reviewing all this and when I click on 5A, is it going to be clear that, or is it just, here's the waiver and this is what they're looking for, and there's no backup telling us that all the things that Maylee just said that she did her due diligence, is there anything that says this is why they're applying for the waiver, this is what so we're doing this agenda review, we're not supposed to go into all of this crazy detail, but we are right now anyway. But when I go back through and look at it, is it, I know what they're answering because it's on the application, but mainly like you just said, you had one applicant who was like, well, I own a business, but then it turns out they don't really own a business in the city. They just have some clients in the city. And so now we're in this. So my issue is that, and I know that Commissioner or Vice Mayor Hay has brought this up in the past, when we get these appointments, we're assuming that that everything has been vetted, and when we get them, they're eligible. We know all the information. we're good to go. And so if there are red flags or issues, I feel like that application is maybe not ready to be on the agenda if there are still questions, or it needs to just not be on there as like a, hey, this one's ready to go. It needs to, somehow we need to figure out a way where we can have a discussion about it before we just vote on it, I guess is my issue, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of information that now you've told us during this agenda review that's not on here. And so later on, when I go back through, I have to pull out my notes or from my memory, or if I wrote them down as far as this conversation and who was what and who owned a business but didn't really own a business and who was
But
is a current.
the person who owns a business but didn't really like have the brick and mortar within the city, that's why she has a waiver, because has she had a brick and mortar within the city, we wouldn't have had her fill out the waiver because she has a business within the city.
Right.
So
Okay.
it specifically does check off on there, live outside the city limits. There, I think it's on page 2. And then the other person, I have it on the list that he's and it's in that breakdown right there that he's an alternate member.
Right.
He's a current alternate member um seeking to be a regular member. However, he lives outside the city. So I mean, I did try to explain as much as possible, um, so that way it's clear.
Right, but like for instance, so the one but the one that you said, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, we can talk about it offline, but the one that you said she checked the box that says she owns a business, but then when you followed up, you found out differently. Where then is that information? Or is it
That's
just
Well, that's
right?
why she has the waiver, because when we received the application itself, that's when we go in and we check to make sure that they're registered
Right.
voters, that they actually live within the city, that their city.
Right.
Because I had somebody else who had applied and their address.
Sure.
So
Sure.
we go and double check and we vet all of that. And
Right.
so with this, with her, I checked on her address and she lived outside of the city. And then I didn't see an address for like her business. So I called her directly and I said, hi, I explained. And so she told me, oh, well, I don't have an actual brick and mortar. It's online. So I told her
Right.
that she would have to fill out the waiver, and I sent her the waiver,
Right.
because of that. So we do our vetting beforehand, and then we send them
Right.
the waiver if we figure out that they need to have a waiver.
Right. But on that waiver, does it go into that detail and say that she just has clients in the city, or does it, you know what I'm saying? Like, or are we gonna, so that's great because that process is working and we now have the waiver, but technically the waiver, so it's, yeah, anyway, I'll
I
stop
get what you're
beating a
saying.
dead horse,
Also,
but
what
I
type
think,
of business it is. That would help us
right,
too. Like, what type of business does this woman
Okay,
have online?
maybe what
Which,
we can do, can I I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor, I apologize. Let's pull, if we can pull the waivers from the agenda. We don't want to hold you up. We'll pull the items from the agenda, and maybe as part of the process, legal puts together a little dossier on what the person is, or Maylee does or something. And again, I apologize. We did just do this process. So, we are
yeah.
kind of working through some of the kinks. So
No,
I
and that's
certainly
fine.
apologize.
Right. I mean, if normally we're not going into long discussions about this at a meeting and we're talking about it or we're doing our due diligence offline. And so, but if that information is not written down somewhere or documented, then we don't have any idea all the checks that were done and all the vetting that happened and how that played out. And we're just kind of running with it based on what we're provided. So I'm concerned about that because there's got to be a better way to really document it. Um, so that we have a clear understanding of what's going on, because I mean, based on this, it's just
So-
saying she lives outside the city, we wouldn't even consider it. So that's, I just,
Okay. Okay, so if I have direction from the commission at this time, we'll just go ahead and pull the waivers at, at this time.
Yes.
well, can it be updated before the meeting when you republish? I mean, if so, and we
Well,
have the information.
The only reason I don't is because of how much work we're doing on the response on the other items.
I can work on that item, if you'd like to explain a little
Okay,
bit
maybe,
extra on it in the
yes,
background.
we will update it. We will
Okay.
update it then unless there's a consensus to pull the items from the commission.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
If I may just make a comment, that's all. I agree with my colleagues, especially what was just stated by Commissioner Kelly. Um, but just for the record, it kind of grieves my spirit a little bit that we're turning down people who want to work on these committees, especially when we don't have a long waiting line of people trying to step into those slots. We have a challenge, and I think we all know that, of trying to fill these positions, and yet we're turning down people who really want to work or have worked in the past. So it just kind of a slight rub, the wrong way. But I understand what we're doing, so we can move on.
Okay.
We're good to
let's
go?
Keep it moving.
Okay. Do we want to see the advisory board appointments?
No.
Okay.
No.
No.
Move on to
Scrolling up,
consent.
Andrew. All right, so consent, all the 6A is essentially just a reimbursement for our FD transport with anyone that's on Medicaid. That's going to be a reimbursement from the state. 6B is going to be a affiliation agreement between a city and Family Search International for the library cardholders that use our Family Search genealogy database. That's also free of charge. 6C is going to be a Andrew, this is the one where the
Students, right along.
the students ride with the
FD.
fire department. Yeah,
Yes,
with
sir.
FD.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we're
So that's
also,
just that's for
What are
volunteer
the
and
ages of the students? They're not high school age, are they?
no, they're,
Okay.
yes, correct. They're college level.
a
This is
lot of
also
these
where,
kids are going to be like Palm Beach State College and stuff like that. We've had this program for a very long time.
yes. The other thing that
No,
we're
I
in
was
that
only
item was,
asking because there used to be some that allowed teen ride-alongs as part of their college, those college or career type schools, and we ran into issues. That's the only reason I was asking.
just to mention also in 6C, we're asking for the, I believe it's commission to, or is it, no, that's coming up. Yes, no, that one to approve the affiliated agreements so that the mayor and the city manager can sign those. These are all the agreements that where we transact with a company that's not costing the city any money. So we're asking as a part of that item as well, there's a resolution there authorizing affiliated agreements as well. Am I explaining that right, Shauna or Stacy?
Yeah, it's basically for, the city contracts with a number of entities to provide internship opportunities, work experience, volunteering with the city, et cetera. So it's intended to cover those day-to-day types of agreements with no fiscal impact to the city.
All right. Moving on to 6D, I'll let Shauna take this. I know she sent an email to each of you guys, so I'm assuming this is going to be like a one-on-one thing, Shauna.
Yes, I mean, we have $110,000 settlement of one of our litigation cases. If anybody has, the 110,000 is 100% city dollars. There's no insurance dollars kicking in because it's below the self-insured retention. But if anyone has any specific questions about it, as always, I'm available to talk.
All right. Moving on. Reimbursement up to $7.1 million for Oak Street. I know we've been going back and forth in reference to looking at the different restrictions of this property. I think we worked through them for the most part. So it's this essentially is going to be a reimbursement from the CRA. Any questions in reference to this?
No.
All righty. Go on, scroll up, Andrew, to 7A. 7A is going to be a piggyback agreement between the city and it's a co-op with America of Alabama LLC for the furnishing, delivery, and discharge of quicklime for a expenditure not to exceed $733,000. That's for our utility plant for our water. 7B is going to be a uniform allowance for our uniforms related products for our SEIU members, not to exceed $160,000. Scrolling down, Andrew, to 8A, these are all second readings of the annexation ordinances involving Bamboo Lane and Palmyra. Would you guys like to ask any questions reference to this section?
No,
And I know
let's
we
talk
have,
to legal.
okay, and we have two first readings. This is for a dispensary that would like to actually annex into the city of Boynton Beach, and it's located at 3604 Boynton Beach Boulevard. Mayor, I know you asked me about this. I did not initially know a lot of information about it. So these are two first readings, and it's a request for that business to actually annex into the city. And it is a
So
dispensary.
what I hear you saying, Dan, is that none of these have any impact from that meeting that was held yesterday, correct?
No, sir, we need to, from a legal standpoint, what I've gathered from the legal department, and again, you guys can actually ask, the county wants us to pause all annexations. This has to do with their letter of objection. We need to go forth, in my opinion, and also in legal's opinion. And again, if you need more information, you can call the legal department. We need to proceed forward with both Palmyra and Bamboo Lane because they make the most sense as far as like being annexed into the city.
Okay, not understanding the whole gamut of things. We're not making an enemy of the county here, are we, by being
I
bold?
I think essentially what it is that if we pause,
Uh-huh.
it's an indefinite pause, and you don't know when you're going to be able to restart
I got
that
you.
annexation. So
I got you.
if we pause, there's no incentive for them to actually press forward to allow us to annex. So if we
Gotcha.
annex, what they're going to do is they're going to look for legal remedies according to their letter of objection. And then if a court or our mediation process or administrative process that we're going to have with the county after we do the annexations, if
Uh-huh.
they end up ruling in our favor, that's going to give us the green light to proceed with further annexations out west. So this is kind of I guess, a prerequisite of us getting to that point.
Gotcha.
Or have further negotiations with the county, other alternative options. Right.
Correct.
Correct.
So
Yes.
Dan,
Good.
if I can just jump in for one
Yeah,
second. So
please, Stacey.
sure. So the county has indicated that they intend to initiate the Chapter 164 dispute resolution process if the city proceeds with the second reading of annexation. So what that means is essentially they send us notice, they go to their board and initiate the statutory process, which would then allow the city commission and the county commission to get together and meet to see if there are potential options to resolve the dispute. So you will be able to discuss any proposals on the table or any options that the parties may consider at that time. If you're unable to informally resolve it by a meeting, there is a mediation process before anything proceeds to court with respect to any disagreement between the city and the county here.
Okay.
Commissioner Hay, I also want to clarify that the last three items concerning the cure leave, we did not get an objection letter for those three items. Those three items, we did get a letter from the county saying that they're okay with that annexation. The letter of objection was purely for Bamboo Lane and Palmyra and centered around the idea of the power of attorney.
Very good. Okay.
Just one other thing I would mention that as we're talking about legal stuff, there is a possibility that one of the owners within the annexation areas could sue the city. So it's not just the county. We could have one of the people that are being annexed in sue the city as well. Correct, Shauna or Stacy?
That's correct. Yes, they would have standing, and there are a variety of legal issues associated with that based on the underlying water service agreements that I'm happy to speak with any of the commissioners offline in vast detail about this.
Yeah.
I can also say that since the first reading, we did reach out to the one applicant, the one person who did give me their contact information. It was the woman that was concerned about the zoning and the change of density, and she did email us several questions. I did respond back to her. I actually think that our zoning gives her more development potential than her current zoning. I haven't heard back from her since my last email. So any questions that we did get, we got two other informal inquiries that we did respond to as well. But that has been all that we've received.
I got a quick question, Amanda. In theory, if we move forward with annexation, in the case of this isolated property where the zoning is going to be favorable for the property owner, couldn't you argue that their property value could potentially increase with the additional zoning that they would get in respect to density?
Probably, but not really, because the taxable value is still going to be done and conducted by the appraiser the way in which it's done today. You really
But if
won't
we were to sell the property.
Exactly. If you were to sell the property, you would be able to negotiate more favorably as you would be allowed to do more units. So it does make
Right.
the property more valuable. It doesn't necessarily directly impact the current taxable value.
Okay.
Like she will still be taxed on her single family home.
That's good for her.
Yeah.
Just bear with me here for a minute. Dan, at that meeting Tuesday, was there any members from Cobra there? And did they speak? And what was the flavor?
I can tell you the overall, it wasn't much of a meeting other than the city essentially getting grilled by the county and Cobra of them not wanting to annex. And they essentially want to continue using our services and not pay any of the related ad valorem taxes. But what they don't understand, and I think Commissioner Turkin, I guess you can take this because this is the point that you kind of brought up. But yes, Cobra was there.
So I would
think
say,
it's also, I apologize.
actually, like if we went by what the individual from Cobra mentioned on record, she came up there and she said, I had an abundance of things and comments written down. However, after listening to City Manager Duggar, those comments have changed. So
Okay.
I think what it seemed as though that the Cobra delegate there was open to the idea of some form of negotiation between the city and the county, and appreciated that the city had came to the county and had this open conversation. So I don't think there was that much real pushback, because
Okay.
the way the county had presented the presentation to the board members, they included the whole map of annexation, right? So when they were looking at the screen, it's a little bit misleading because they're talking about Palmyra and Bamboo Lane, which is what we're focused on now, which is all we've discussed now. But then they're showing this map of annexation like completely out west, which is not relatable to what is focused in front of us right here and right now. And so overall, I think they were pleasantly surprised that that there's dialogue being had between the county and looking at potential utility absorption. But I can tell you there was not a single person from Palmyra. There was not a single person from Bamboo Lane at the county meeting. It was just one Cobra delegate speaking on behalf of Cobra and mentioning litigation for neighborhoods that are not in Cobra. So I thought that was very strange.
Very good. Appreciate that, Commissioner Turkin, because
Yes, sir.
Dan, you must have been a used car salesman. The last time, the last time I attended the Cobra meeting, man,
Yeah.
I had a target on my back,
I bet.
They were
I got
trying.
one now.
They put a machete under the mayor's car, so
Oh my goodness.
They did
Very
beat
good.
up Dan pretty bad. I will
Oh
say
man.
Dan
Yeah.
was a punching bag. It was a little bit.
He definitely
Yeah,
took one for the team.
Oh,
yes.
But it got
well,
better at the end, not the very last minute, but it did
very
start
good.
coming around a little bit, and then the last minute,
Okay,
yeah, there was a
very good.
comment. You should. It's very early on in the meeting if you want to watch it. It's about 50
Yeah,
minutes.
I'm gonna listen to it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely a dynamic situation. At the end, I think emotions kind of calmed down and everyone was kind of looking for a compromise, I guess.
Hey, real quick, Amanda, on the Coral Leaf ones, is this just a single building, a single business building?
It is. It is one parcel with an existing business structure on the parcel already. And they came in to request to be annexed into the city.
Andrew, can you really quick just show me the map so I can see what I'm looking at real quick?
It's on Boynton Beach Boulevard on the north side. I mean, literally next to the last parcel in the city. It is, I can show an aerial.
You see that?
Yes.
Just west of Knuth Road on the north side.
And the requested zoning and land use is consistent with what's directly to the east.
Oh, so it's next to like Aldi? Is that where it is?
It's
All
across
these is
from
across the street.
Shalimar. Across
Oh,
from where they're
okay,
building
across from
Shalimar.
Shell. Oh, the plaza that has like Boynton Pizza, and then there's like a law firm, Kogan
Just
and
west of that.
DeSalvo, just west of it. Okay.
Yep.
Is that the furthest west business, or is there other stuff west of there that's already in the city? Or that's the city line I see in black?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Then 10A during regular agenda is my evaluation and also City Attorney Sean Lamb's evaluation.
Okay.
Is there anything I need to say about that since I'll be introducing that next week Tuesday?
No.
No.
Lynn, I'm prepared to do my own evaluation, and all the information is there in the item. Or
Okay.
not my evaluation, but my presentation.
Your presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. There is
And I
one
also-
thing I wanted to add. You all may have received an email from Susan Oyer. There is a class action
Yeah.
lawsuit right now against the state in Tallahassee to challenge one of the bills that just passed. It is something that I had been looking into and plan to discuss with you individually, but when she emailed, I didn't want you guys to think that I didn't know what was going on and wasn't involved. But so when we speak about annexation, I will speak to each one of you individually about that lawsuit and if that's something we want to just potentially join, and if there's a direction that it seems like the majority wants to join, then that is something we'd have to bring a resolution to the commission. But I didn't want to bring the resolution without discussing it with you.
This is for
Live
to
local.
participate in the litigation against the bill with
It's
reference
Senate Bill
not,
180.
it is not live local in and of itself.
Is this the bill but this is, I think, okay, 180.
It's the
This
Okay,
is,
so
comprehensive
then that's
plan.
confusing. Right, so that's
Yeah.
confusing because obviously the email was, and this is fully like protects the city about live local, and so I was,
That is
Kinda
not,
has-
that,
right.
that is not the case.
180,
That
I
is not
think,
what
is
this
more
is.
for
Emergency, disaster relief
Yeah.
and emergency management.
Right.
Okay, well,
Recovery.
so we'll have discussions about that because I was confusing because I had not heard about, and I
It does-
actually,
No, it deals with some comp plan amendments because of
Right.
the emergency, just briefly, without going into a super high level of detail. Essentially, the state has said we cannot make any of our development zones any more restrictive, right?
Right.
And a lot of cities were doing that to prevent live local.
Right.
And so there's a number of cities who have joined together in a class action lawsuit to stop the state from being able to do that.
got it, okay.
so all right. So essentially it prevents the city from making our land use more strict,
Mhm.
is what you're saying?
That's correct.
The current
I
statute.
mean, I would,
correct.
I would.
Until
I-
2027.
Okay, so how long is that litigation gonna go for?
Right.
It'll be 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are
We'll
we,
talk offline. I
Okay,
prefer to
alright.
talk offline because there's a lot
Sure.
of factors we have to take into consideration.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys, that's all I have. I mean, unless you guys have any questions, this will conclude the agenda review. It's obviously a lot more shorter than the last commission meeting once, which was fairly lengthy. Any
Yeah.
Hey,
questions?
Dan, yeah, just quick comment. Can we do something about that Little League sign that's off Woolbright? It looks super janky.
Yeah, we have plans to replace that sign as a part of the project.
Okay.
I
Is
can
that
show
the
it. I can show
pylon?
it.
Is that the pylon
Yes.
sign, Andrew?
Correct. That's correct.
But are we going to we can't do another pylon sign there, right? Because that was just grandfathered in because of our ordinances.
Yeah, correct.
Do we
actually
have
a
to
really
go with a
cool-
marquee?
Yeah, we're actually have a digital sign plan there. It's actually really
Okay.
cool in the shape of a baseball, home plate of a baseball.
Oh, cool. Andrew,
Oh, great.
speaking of digital signs, any updates on the digital signs in particular for District 4 at Fire Station 3 that has nothing
Yes,
currently?
I've been getting some questions on that as well.
Yeah.
About the District 4.
Yeah.
So I don't, we can put what we have currently at other locations, the digital sign we currently have. So if the commission wants to use the exact same sign like we have at Woolbright, then I could actually put that in. But what we had planned to do was to rebrand the signs. And then that was that whole purpose of bringing you guys the whole plan to upgrade the signs throughout the city over time.
Oh, I think you have a time limit, don't
So
you?
we're kind of back to square one. But if you want to move forward with that sign, we could. If
October
not, I
1st?
need
You have
need
to make a
direction
commitment.
on
You what?
as far as what the
Sean-
new layout would be.
Shauna, can you mute real quick?
You're not
Sorry.
on mute.
I apologize. I
Shauna,
hit
can you
the
mute?
thing.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
What I'm saying is, we could do the current signs that we have, like at Woolbright and at MLK and Seacrest.
Yeah.
But that we really would love to redesign those signs, because what we found is they're too small. They're not
Yeah.
wide enough, and the copy gets a little bit chopped on it. So we
Yeah.
wanted to redesign it, and that's when we were working with Danny on rebranding the signs. So I really would like to rebrand the signs before we do them, but I could put a sign up if that's what the direction of the commission is. It'd be
Well,
around 25. I
Well,
think we have a
how
contract for
soon
about
can we get-
25.
Yeah, but what's the
How
time? I
soon
mean, I
can we
can't
get
make that
through?
decision without knowing how long it's gonna take. I mean, I agree. I don't want to do it twice, or I don't want to have a sign that's outdated, and then it's the the odd man out because we rushed
Yeah.
it. But if I mean, here we started I guess a rebranding process. Where are we? I mean, what's the timeline? Because I can't wait 2 years to not have any
And
signage on the west side. I mean, it's ridiculous. We have no way of communicating any information citywide in District 4. There's nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
I
So
I
I
have
mean,
a
if you're going to
question.
tell me it's going to take 2 years, I'm going to say let's get it done and get a sign up and just do it. But if we're talking 6 months, then I can get behind that. But I mean, so I can't make a decision unless I know that information. Sorry, it's
I
just
would-
it's frustrating.
I have a question. How long
Go
does it take after we approve the proofs to get one of those signs up, like in order and out on the ground?
Depends how much they cost and what we procure them. So it's a little bit complicated, but I could say if we had the design done and then they got to go through permitting, so it could be 6 to 9 months,
Oh, my Lord.
depending on the procurement side of it. So like what I'm hearing now, and basically in my recommendation, we would go ahead and move forward with the digital signs that we have now. We could always
Mhm.
relocate it or reuse portions of it. It's an investment there, but I do think it's going to take us some time to get what we all want as quality. So my recommendation was just to move forward with that sign at that location. We did get money from the accident that took out the previous sign that was there.
Yeah.
So we could offset some of that cost with that money.
Let's
Okay,
just,
I'm-
I support getting it up as soon as possible. We have
Perfect.
holiday
I will make
events
it
that
happen.
that district doesn't know about. They don't know about the downtown events. You know, these are the
Right.
things that I'm hearing.
Right.
Um,
Well,
and
right.
I think we just roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, we even have the whiteboard up there, but we're not utilizing it. There's not, I mean, First Friday's not up there. Pirate Fest is coming. There's no sign up there. So we're not utilizing even the whiteboard that we have there. So, I mean, we have to do something. I mean, the information has to get out. So, I mean, if the board could support me on that, I would really like to see that sign get put up there
You have
sooner
my
rather
support.
than later.
Yep, you got my
I
support.
support it.
Thank you, everyone.
Perfect.
And
I'll get
I
with you and on a timeline, Commissioner Kelly, once we'll circle the troops and I'll get you an idea of when we get it done.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I have one more
I
that,
just-
that'll, go ahead. That Shauna?
Yes, I'm
No, that
sorry.
was-
I thought we were wrapping up. I just have to say one thing to Rebecca before we all hop off. But go
Okay.
ahead, Commissioner
Okay,
or
I
Vice
have,
Mayor.
yeah, I just have one more that I want to kind of resurrect or get going, and that's one that I've been talking about for a long time, but even though it has Commissioner Turkin's name on it, I support it wholeheartedly. It could be Turkin/A, but that is 11F, about the lighting, the master plan for the
Mhm.
lighting up the city. Uh, my wife and I were celebrating our wedding anniversary, and I drove up US 1 from uh, down south. And man, I tell you, it was beautiful drive, except when I got to Boynton, it went it went dark. So I would like to see that we step that up. I know it's got TBD, to be determined, but I like to really see us start doing something on that to make that happen. Start the ball rolling. It's been on the list for quite some time, and I would
I
just
agree.
like to see us do something to
Mhm.
lighten up our town, because it's so cotton picking
Yes.
dark. I was very depressed last night when I got to Boynton, just to be honest with you. So I don't know this first step, but you guys know. So let's just start making it happen, okay?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
move it up. Let's get on it.
Let's
Great.
move it
So
on.
it's been eight
We're-
months. 8 months it's
That's-
been on the agenda. I think also too, we can get creative with the funding mechanisms. You just had the school zone cameras initiate, right? Because I think lighting is not just about lighting. It's an infrastructure. It has to do
Yeah.
with public safety.
I
I think
agree.
you could even argue environmentally what type of lights we use. You could look at some funding mechanisms from that perspective. So I
Yeah.
don't want us to get hung up on, well, it's not budgeted. I want to get creative on how we could
Yeah.
fund this. Also too, mobility, maybe, right? Need to be able to
Yep.
drive and travel at night. So I think there's a lot of different avenues that we can take to, obviously create a master plan like Commissioner Hay mentioned when we discussed this months and months ago, but at least get some infrastructure moving in place now, having those conversations with FPL and any
With
other
FDOT,
potential
yeah.
company or vendor that we can talk to. I remember when I was at League of Cities in August, I was approached by a young man, one of the vendors, and he was asking me to get an introduction with Dan and Andrew, our city executive staff, to discuss like solar panel lighting that
Yes,
costs the
yes,
city nothing, and they'll put it in, they'll install it, and more so it was around beaches. They did them on like boardwalks in places like Hollywood. I think was one of the examples, which is a little bit different from us because we only have such a small portion of waterfront property, at least that's beachside. But I think there's definitely different tools or
yep,
vendors that are similar to that we can utilize.
Mhm.
Like Commissioner Hay was saying, Federal Highway, also Southeast Fourth, Southeast Third. As we see these towers come up, you're going to see a lot of development transpire north and south
absolutely.
of Ocean Avenue. And so I want to make sure that, we're being proactive, as
Right.
we've always discussed prior. So I'm with you 100%, Commissioner Hay, and let's
Yeah.
let's move that to the front.
Let's move it to the front.
Yep,
Well,
I agree.
So
up
if
up high.
Up high, yeah.
Up
And
high.
let's lock it up.
And you know
Lock
what,
it up.
Commissioner Turkey, you and I must have talked to the same guy because he was saying basically the same thing to me and talking a lot about the panel, how that has worked for some cities. And
Yep.
so I don't know what the answer is, but you guys are the experts.
So if you guys would, on the Saturday, this November 8th, when we're doing the joint workshop, this is a topic we could take up that
Great idea.
meeting. And
Okay.
then we can have staff work on some of the kind of outline of the discussion and where we're going with it. And we can bring it up at the 8th.
Yeah, because we're going to have to do a design for what the scope with that we're talking about lighted up, like especially like, is it just going to be centered on the east side of the city? Is it going to be the west side of the city? What do we want to do? Solar lighting, as far as what's the theme going to be? Like, are we talking about the color of the lights? There's a whole host of things that we're going to have to look at, and maybe we go into maybe a smaller scope, and then we can broaden it from there if it's something that we do that we actually that we like,
Yeah.
and
I think
and it's
I
pleasing.
think that's great, doing a very extensive feasibility study, whatever. But Woodrow or Commissioner Hay mentioned something. He mentioned exactly how it is. He was driving and subjectively just saw it. So it costs no money just to drive around the city at night. And I think you could get a good understanding of like where
Absolutely.
the
Priorities.
opportunities are
Mhm.
and where the priorities should be.
Right,
And I can tell you,
exactly.
I'm sure it's throughout the whole district, but
Yeah.
it's definitely on the east side because there is a lot of non-HOA neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of mines being buried and changed on the
Mhm.
side with FPL. And so
Yeah.
I know it's just a hodgepodge, but I think, Commissioner Hayes' method, let's just drive around at night, and we'll
Yeah.
see a real need of where it needs to be.
And I
Yeah.
guarantee you find a lot of blind spots.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
I
and
call them.
yeah, well, Commissioner Turkin, you brought up a good point with the development. They're going to be required to put in some lighting, but we really should be like bridging that gap to make, I mean, we're going to have development come in, and then the last thing we want is a dark road where people can walk for a block to leave the building, and then it's pitch black. So we need, in particular, where the projects are going in, we want to make sure that it really truly becomes walkable. And so, along those corridors where we're building, a focus on lighting and making sure that, I'm totally fine with downtown taking priority on lighting, because that is definitely where the need is. Like you pointed out, Commissioner Turkin, that west side is, neighborhoods and HOAs, although we did put lighting along Minor Road, but most of our roads are major roads, and we don't have lighting issues like we have on the east side.
And,
We're gonna hear more about this issue when the time change happens.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Andrew, you said we'll discuss this at the workshop, just for clarification. That's the joint workshop.
Yes, sir. Mhm,
Yeah.
On
Okay,
November
yeah, I
8th.
think that's I
And-
think that's a great idea.
And I
because
think
we
we'll
can
try and
look-
get FPL there as well. Because I think what you hit right on the head is that, with all the hardening and the conversion that FPL has been doing, I mean, they pretty much have on the east side, Seacrest, Federal Highway, it's like a hodgepodge is not it's probably a good term for it, but it's probably worse than that. So I think working with them too, there's a lot of programs they have that we could do. So it's a good time to talk about it.
Yep.
Good,
I
good.
agree.
Do we want to reach out to Amy and maybe, I'm sorry, Amy from
Yep.
FPL?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
maybe
will
she
make
can
sure
get-
I reach out to her and let her know.
Awesome.
And as much as possible, we can put a little tweak in there for these developers. One of the things years ago when Renaissance Common was being built, Jim, the guy, asked me, what can we do to make sure that we can make this safer? And I said, light the sucker up. And he put lights all around the trees and poles and everything, as you see now, and it worked. Let me tell you, it's beautiful. And we can do the same thing if we, focus on making it a priority. So I'm looking forward to that workshop.
Yep.
Okay.
Good stuff. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'm good.
Great,
Wait,
thank you.
Mayor,
I'm
Bye.
good.
Mayor,
Yes,
Mayor,
yes.
Your script is going to be a little different this week because of some of the things. So Stacy and I need to take time to go over it with you, either Monday or Tuesday, probably.
I'll come in on Monday
Okay, sounds good. That's
or
all.
early Tuesday morning. We'll get it on the calendar.
All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have
righty.
a good night.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.